All right, we're starting the setup and layout on the next project down here at the goat pen. We're going to be adding a lean-to on 3 sides of the goat barn. So here on the front, around on the left, and back on the back, just not this side here. We want to keep this side open so we can still drive the tractor down this alley if we have to get in the pen. So 3-sided lean-to, and the challenge here is that the goat barn is not square. We know it's not square, and it's slap in the middle of where the lean-to has to go. So we can't, I want to try to make sure that the lean-to is square best I can, otherwise it's going to give me fits the whole time we're working. So best we can do here is we can't reference off of the walls of the goat barn. It's kind of square, but it's not perfectly square by any means. So what we have to do is we have to pick one wall on the goat barn and reference off of that, and then just set 90s off of everything else using string lines. So what I'm starting on right now is this first string line. It's on the west wall, and if you guys look down the line, see if I can get the camera right for this. We're looking right on the corner, right there on the corner of the barn. You see where the string line hits? Kind of about where that knot looks like it's at. So what we're trying to do is we're coming in just till it hits and bends, and we're going to come just off the wall. So what we're doing is we're running the line straight down the side of the barn from the back to the front corner, right there. And then we're going to just tie it off right here on top of the fence. Now this is beyond where we need to go. Our actual corner is going to be in about 1 foot. So this gives us some room to tie this off, back out of the way. And then we'll have to measure in to set where the next post is going to be. And we're going to have to set a T-post or something out behind over here to tie off to. And some of you guys might ask, why am I doing my string line so high? Because normally you would just set little grade stakes in the dirt. But I'm doing my string line actually up higher so the goats can walk under it and not get tangled up in it. Because if I do it a couple inches off the ground, you better believe those fools are going to trip over it, they're going to chew on it, they're going to mess it all up. So I'm trying to do it up higher, which is going to make it a little more complicated for us, but I think we'll manage. So anyway, we're going to just touch the corner of the barn, and then we're going to tie off right here on the fence, and we're going to do this process going all the way around. But I'm going to show you just to begin how we're going to do this corner. So let me get this one done and get the next one done, and then I'll explain what we did. Okay, so again, this is going to be rough. I know it's not going to be 100% perfect. It'd be better, again, if I could use little grade stakes down low to the ground and really hammer them in so nothing can flex. But I'm actually using the flex to my advantage right now. So we set our first string line off the barn, so it's just touching both corners. And then our second string, I measured out off of this corner of the barn here to come out 8 feet. And just kind of eyeballed where I'd be off the gate, and I set this T-post as an anchor point, enough that I could wiggle it back and forth a little bit if I wanted, so that I can move this into the string line here to 8 feet. Then I set another T-post down at the other end beyond the limits of, so the lean-to is going to be 8 feet, so that post is like 12 feet off the barn, and tied off to it, and actually just measured right here to this intersection. It is spot on 8 feet. So I don't have to wiggle this post. Now I can push it back and forth, and before we set any permanent post, we're gonna have to double check it because the goats are gonna come rub up against it and mess things up. So I wanna try to drop a plumb line as quick as I can here to make a mark in the dirt and get that first post set. But I came over here too, and I measured off this corner of the barn and just measured out to where the line crossed it and got that made sure that it was 8 feet. And I did that by shoving the top of that post back and forth just a little bit to make sure that it was all squared up. So best I can tell it's square referenced off the barn. Now what I have to do is on this corner, we're going to do a 3, 4, 5 triangle. And you guys that are geometry pros know this, but it's not complicated math. We're going to come 3 feet out on here. We're going to go 4 feet on this line and make a mark. And then from corner to corner should be 5 feet. That's how we can confirm that this corner is actually square and that I'm not you know, getting kind of a false positive by quote unquote, you know, squaring off the barn, because again, we're assuming that the barn is irregular, might as well be a circle. The only reason we're using the barn to begin with was just for a reference to set our first line. From here on out, everything's going to be squared off of 3, 4, 5 corners. Now for that, I might need to go get a helper. Let me see what I can do. Okay, so we got our first post set here, and we've had to move our string line since already. This post was a freaking beast to dig out. Tree roots, and then the worst was we had to cut through that log. I tell you guys, you know, you see my videos about clearing with the excavator and digging stumps out. Please, dear God, do not bury logs unless you're building a hugelkultur garden, because you never know when you're going to have to dig a hole or something over there in the future, and that log, I promise you, will still be there. So I buried this one up some time ago, and now I had to severely dull my chainsaw chain to get out of there. You know, the chainsaw chain that I just spent 40 minutes on the other day getting it really nice and sharp and fixed. Now I gotta do it again. But we were trying to hack at that. I mean, come on. There's no way you're busting that with a shovel. Tried to cut on it with the sawzall, was too big, so I had to get the chainsaw. And had to widen out the top of our hole a whole bunch to even be able to fit the chainsaw down there to cut it. But anyway, got this post set. You can see if we look at the barn, we are just touching the barn, and we are just touching our post. So we had that on 2 corners, so this post is plumb and in both directions. Then we measured off to set the second post, which we haven't set yet, but we had to move our string line up because now we're having to go. This string line basically at this point is not needed anymore. We'll probably take it down. I'm just not going to yet. But for this string line over here on the east side, we have to go up and over what we call Harriet's house, that latest little shack that I built. Maybe we're having some fun. So because we had to go up and over that house, it ran this string really high, so we then had to take the north string line and move it up. That's why you see over here on the post now the 2 string lines aren't touching each other. They were, which that's actually better because now we're up and over the fence instead of trying to snake through it. But we got this corner set and square. We checked our 3, 4, 5, and we stuck a little stick in the mud here that should be plumb. So we're gonna go get some lunch, take a little break, and then come back out and start digging that hole and try to get that post set. If we could get the 4 corners set today, I would be absolutely thrilled. That's what I really need my wife's help with, just so she can help hold the tape and, you know, check the square. Beyond that, I think I can pretty well do it all myself. But anyway, so far the little lean-to expansion's going good. I'm excited to do this. This is the first time I've ever built a pole barn style structure. It's very simple. It's just a matter of keeping up with the math and making sure that you keep your squares, keep your string lines where they need to be, and you'll be fine.
Nice whipping.
Nice work, Mackenzie.
Now how put something. I like how this tool is big, but the metal on it's starting to rustle. Daddy, have you had this tool before I was even born?
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you had this tool?
23.
How many dollars was it?
Are you going to dig some dirt out or no?
First I'm getting it all loose. Then I do it after I get it all loose.
Nice work. Slow and steady. All right, we're plugging away. We got this next corner post set here, and I went ahead and set this line post, and I'm going to go ahead and set the next line post because my tape measure is only 25 feet long, and the total run from corner to corner is going to be 28 feet. So I had to set at least the first one. And since it's exactly 28 feet outside to outside, we're just going to set the post 7 foot on center on the insides. So that should give us 5 posts. So it'll be two corners and 3 line posts. But that way too, kind of standard 8-ish foot lumber, you know, will work well with 7-foot span between the posts. But so what I did was I measured from the outside of the post down the string, and I did 7 foot here on center. Then I measured to the center of the post and drew a line to give me where my center of my post was, so that when I leveled the post up, of course, coming to and from me here, you just come to the touch of the string, and then left to right, of course, we're just leveling up the dot with the line. So I'll come on down here. I've made my next dot here, and so we'll drop a plumb, figure out where we need to start digging our hole. Like I said, my real goal today was to get the corners set. Right now things are going good. I'm kind of scared of that next corner because there's a tree very, very close. But anyway, we're gonna go and set this line post. Since I'm having to work over top of this barn, I want to go ahead and get this post set so I've got something closer to anchor to, and then I'll go measure off and I'll do my last corner. All right, well, we got a little more progress today. Overnight we had probably 2 inches of rain, so it's a bit muddy today, but she did okay. Started out this morning trying to set this corner, and it was actually supposed to be right at the base of the tree, and I said I would give it a fair chance, so I started digging, and I hit a massive root, essentially the flare of the tree. I couldn't cut through it or remove it, so changed the design of the building a little bit and just brought this corner out this way another 3 feet, or 4 feet. It looks like 3. But, you know, I thought it was 4. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Brought it out far enough to get it away from that tree. And then, of course, extended that all the way down. So I got that post set. And then I had to have the wife get out here and help me set this T-post. Of course, set our T-post on the other end. Ran our string line to get a straight line. Measured it off. And we did that corner. So I had her help me square up all those corners. You can see we got our final... just to check, to check this corner here, we had to run this string line too. And you can see it's not touching the barn. It actually goes down past the barn. But that worked out. So again, that was the whole point of this, was that the barn could not be trusted as square. And it's really hard to do that because you find yourself wanting to reference the barn, and you can't do that. You have to just act like it's not there. So we got this corner set and square, left this string line, and then I came out here just now with the boy because he's awesome. And we set these last 2 in the back. So the back's done. We've just got 2 more up front to do. Probably do those tomorrow. I don't think I have any other real plans. So tomorrow we'll get the other front 2 set, and then we can start with our stringers. Well, well, well. Looky what I did. See this post here? Set to the right of the string. See the next post? Set to the left of the string. What an idiot! What an idiot! And I struggled to set that post because I was like, oh, this sucks. I have to try to get it around behind the string and between the fence and all that. But I got her leveled up perfectly plumb and all packed back in, just in the wrong spot. And I mean, I'm gonna have to dig it up and move it, obviously, bring it inside the string. The other problem with that is this soil is so gooey. Come on, focus. The soil is so gooey because of the water that's in it that I'm going to have a really soupy mess by the time I dig it up and agitate it again to move it. Now the good news is where I have to move it to, the hole's already overdug to that size. So it'll be really easy digging, but just a really stupid mistake. So anyway, I'm going to finish setting this post here. You can see this hole is filling up with water quickly. That's not water that's running in, that's water that's seeping up out of the ground. So I'm actually going to take a break here and go get my little cup and bail it out, because when I stab the post hole diggers it splashes on me and that's nasty. So I'll bail it out real quick and then get back to digging, get this post done, and then go back and move that post, and then we'll be done with it all. Whew. It is done, at least as far as setting the poles is concerned. Started on this corner. We set this one first. That was the beast where we had to saw through that log there. And then we went and set the far corner and then worked our way around. We went down this line, and I had to do this line, if you guys remember, because my tape measure was only 25 feet, which I actually have 100-foot tape. I just didn't like getting out that day. And so I just started doing on centers here, going through setting this line. And then of course when we got to this corner we had to move it out because that tree was in the way, so we ended up extending. So the back part of the lean-to is going to be like 11 or 12 feet off the barn when everything else is 8 feet. And then we went and set that corner, last to make sure that everything was all square, and then came back in and did these 2 line posts and the 2 line posts out front, which I just finished, and I got that one moved back in where it needs to be. These things, this mud at this point, it's just so gooey, I don't even want to touch them. That one over there, if I even like breathe on it, it moves. So hopefully let it sit here for a couple hours or whatever while I do some more measuring and get lunch and everything. And hopefully that'll let it kind of de-water and thicken up a little bit, because right now it's just like milkshake mud. So anyway, the posts are set. The next step's going to be, I'm going to get my wife's laser level, and we're going to shoot a line towards the base just to kind of get an idea of where the ground is lowest. And then we'll reference off of that to come up on the poles. I'm hoping we can get about 7 feet, which it's like 7.5 feet above the door, so it'll be a real flat slope. But the point is, I want to be about 7 feet to the header, because then it gives us even more option to extend further. My wife and I are both like not even 6 feet tall, so if we go say if we had a 7-foot header out here, right, that extends that roof, and then we could actually potentially go on further and do another sort of lean-to addition out off of that and go another 8 feet and still have room to slope the roof and not be banging our heads when we go in there. So, you know, try to keep the roof as high as I can. So anyway, that is it for now. Posts are all set. Next up will be leveling and marking and setting the headers.